What is up, fellas? This is Connor Olson and Matt Caligiuri. First off, just like to introduce myself. I'm Connor. I'm going to be handling the sports section of this channel of Amateur Hour Production Company. I'd like to give a special shout out to our sponsors, John and Terry Sausage and Meat Co.
And do without you
Thank you
guys.
guys for helping us with this. Pretty hard to come by good production helpers, and they've helped us out greatly. So, first off, why don't you introduce yourself, Matt? Just kind of a little bit of your sports background and what you know.
I'm Matt. I'm also part of the Amateur Hour Production Company, and I'm pretty deep in knowledge with the NFL, and especially the Green Bay Packers. I'm a huge Packer fan, but I like to consider myself pretty well-rounded, and hopefully you guys know that about me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to be going over the free agents and kind of where we see people land and what teams kind of need work, what teams don't need work. So I'm really excited to get into it with my boy Connor over here.
Yeah, and speaking of the Packers, you and I both go back and forth. Me being a Bears fan, you being a Packers fan. Big time rivalry. Back and forth. Games will go on. You and I are kind of going at it with each other over text or in person, just yelling at each other. And I think that's honestly a great place to start with your Packers here. So, overall, talking free agents, what do you think the Packers are missing? What do you think they need? Just overall, give me what you like and what you think needs to be gone.
Well, let's start here. The Green Bay Packers just came out today, which is February 24th, saying that they don't look to re-sign Corey Linsley, which is a huge loss for them at the offensive line because Aaron Rodgers did not get that MVP loan. He got it with that O-line. And they're definitely going to be coming to boost that. Bakhtiari just took a nice restructuring, so his cap space is down. And they're trying to add pieces, and they're trying to cut into that cap. They still got 11 mil to go. You need someone to pair with Devontae Adams, and you really need to beef up that secondary. Jair Alexander cannot do it alone. So plain and simple, they don't have too many things to fix, but I would say their main focuses are going to be that replacing Corey Linsley, getting someone to back up Jair, and possibly a number 2 for Devontae.
I am looking at the cap space right now. 3 weeks ago, the fact that you mentioned it's at 11 million, I think the fact that it was at 32 million according to this website, and they got it down that much in 3 weeks, I think it's very, very huge for them to free that up. Hopefully, find a free agent that they can sign. Accompany Devontae Adams, just like you said. But going back to Corey Linsley, you think they're going to go after a center in the draft, or what do you think the Packers should do in this draft, missing that big factor in their offensive line?
Look at the free agents list. I think they're going to end up going with someone in the draft, but nothing too early. Third round probably at the most. I think they're going to focus on wide receiver and corner to start just because that's who the Packers are. They always do that. They're going to draft out of the Pac-12. But there's a couple guys out there that are interesting free agency wise, I guess, but no one really worth talking about. Austin Blythe is the first one that comes to mind. So he used to play for the Rams. But I think, yeah, they're going to address it in the draft. Free agency, if they can get down to it, they still got to do more cuts. Just looking at it, I had here down that they needed to cut Christian Kirksey and with Rick Wagner that did that a week ago. I think they need to cut it a little bit more. I think you got to get rid of Devin Funchess. That clears 1.2. You got to get rid of Equimini and St. Brown. That's not a huge jump. It's only 600, but once again, they're going for a wide receiver in the future. And then you either got to cut or find a way to maneuver Preston Smith's contract. $14 million for what he's able to produce is way too much money. He earned it 2 years ago. Last year, if you're looking to add someone like J.J. Watt, you need to have the cap space to do it, and they do not.
Right, and I think definitely making those cuts helps them out. What was I was just looking at something real quick. Oh, going back to accompanying Devontae Adams, you and I talked about this earlier. Allen Robinson of the Bears. Me being a Bears fan, I don't want to see him go. I am looking at this cap space for the Bears. I think last I looked, it's at 1 million right now. They're negative 1 million, so they need to free that up. And with looking at that, it kind of puts them in somewhat of a tricky situation with Allen Robinson too, because they are saying they're going to franchise tag him. But should they not? Do you see the Packers making a jump at him?
No, I do not see Green Bay making a play for Allen Robinson. The farthest stretch they're going to do is Will Fuller. I think realistically we'll sign Corey Davis. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't resign with Tennessee, which is probably going to end up happening, I just looked at it. Bears got 2.5 to go. It's not a whole lot. Franchise tagging Allen Robinson is the smartest move for Chicago. Even if I know they talked about franchise tagging and trading, I think that's a horrible idea. I think they should franchise tag him, hold on to him, finally engage in some contract talks because the man is the best player on your offense, and you haven't spoken to him yet since September about his contract. That's ridiculous. Chicago needs to figure it out and get that man paid.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, best wide receiver, him paired up with Mooney being a young talent, Cole Kmet. I really see that wide receiver core coming together with Allen Robinson, and I think he needs to be in that wide receiver core,
Oh,
especially to kind of guide these younger guys, help them move forward in their careers and make them become better each and every day.
Darnell Mooney is a true slot guy. There's no way he takes on the number one role. Maybe only in a Tyreek Hill capacity, but not at that level. He's just too small. I mean,
I do see him being like a Tyreek Hill,
yeah,
no doubt.
yeah, he could definitely be one of the best slot receivers in this game just because of how quick he is. I just don't think we've gotten a real chance to see his talent because he hasn't had a quarterback who could throw him the ball. It's been real tough to watch Chicago football these past few years.
Yeah,
I mean, in 2018 they had that good year, or 2017 with Mr. Trubisky and went to the Pro Bowl. But I mean, he had 4 reads that whole year. It
yeah,
wasn't too complicated, and that's when they were good. It's because they were running the ball. I think if they do let go of Allen Robinson, it's a terrible decision, but it could not be the worst thing in the world. Just because of the fact that if Chicago wants to be successful, they're going to have to get back to the run game. And they're going to have to get back to it where he carries the ball 30 to 40 times with 2 different running backs.
right. And I think that kind of goes back to that season that you were just talking about. We had Jordan Howard as a power back. We had Tariq Cohen as a speed back. Within the red zone, throwing Jordan Howard, he was easily able to punch it in or just run a little screen route.
Yeah.
But I mean, kind of going back to what we were saying about Allen Robinson, should he leave, let's say, should he's gone, we do have that young talent. Who do you see stepping up in that young wide receiver core for the Bears? Because personally, I do see it being Cole Kmet. And I just think it's just because he seems like a natural born leader. He came in, he made an impact. More so towards the end of the season because I know I'm pretty sure he was having talks with head coach Matt Nagy about wanting to be more involved. Mitch Trubisky wanted to get him more involved. And I think now that they got him more worked into that offense, we see him sort of stepping up into that leadership role, especially with Mitch Trubisky talk of him being gone. So what do you think about who's going to step up should Allen Robinson leave?
I think Cole Kmet is probably the best option just because of the fact that no matter if they have Mr. Trubisky or they end up going completely different, not even having Nick Foles in the lineup, new quarterbacks always favor the tight end, the big guys. That's who they're going to go to. And I think he's going to be the most important factor in that offense, especially in the passing game. And Darnell Mooney is a nice number 2 just because he's going to be able to stretch that defense. I mean, you need the speed guy and you need the big guy to at least guide your new quarterback. Because there's no way Chicago has the quarterbacks they did last year. There's just it's make it or break it year for Nagy and Pace. I mean, if they want to keep I think Pace might be able to hold on, but if Nagy wants to stick around, he's going to have a good year. They're going to have to go to the playoffs and maybe even win their divisional round. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of talk of getting rid of Nagy right now.
I mean, yeah. And then also, kind of going off that last point with your speaking of the whole quarterback situation, I know there was a little slit of time where I wasn't paying too much of attention to it just because I thought it was kind of going a little slow. And then you sent me that text about Carson Wentz. I mean, I wanted to treat it like a Mr. Trubisky, let him get in, let him prove himself. Maybe it'll end up being good, kind of being a steal. But then, part of me was like, shit, like it's Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Like what are we gonna do? He's kind of a similar quarterback to Mr. Trubisky. I just don't see it working out. But thankfully, no offer was actually made between the Bears and the Eagles, and the Colts stepped up, made an offer, got him. So I mean, what do you see happening with this quarterback situation? I see them drafting a late round pick, hopefully for somewhat of a decent quarterback, but who knows? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, if I'm Chicago and I'm sitting there, I don't know what draft. Do they have the 9th pick this year? What do they got? No, they had a pretty. I think they got to be in the teens.
I'm actually looking it up right now.
But personally, if I'm Chicago, if you can't sign anyone in free agency, because there's no one that really excites me for the Bears.
No.
You're not getting Dak Prescott. I'm sorry. Dallas is going to find a way to lock that up. They're not idiots. But I think they're going to draft, and wherever they're sitting, if they're not too high and Mac Jones is available, I would not hate that pick for the Bears, honestly. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter who you take because you need to get that offensive line in order first, just like with anybody. That's why I'm really excited to see what Carson Wentz does this year. Because Colts have a great offensive line. And I actually have to disagree with you there. I do not appreciate that comparison with Carson Wentz and Mr. Trubisky. Carson Wentz is a far more athletic quarterback than Mr. Trubisky. He did not tear his ACL. The plays that he was making, there's no way we'd be having this conversation right now. Carson Wentz.
But he did.
Carson
and it's
Wentz,
the unfortunate truth. It's something you don't want to say, but I mean,
I still think
you got to be a realist here.
He's a more athletic quarterback and on a much better offensive line with a good defense. The Colts have a good defense. I mean, they went 10-6 last year, and they got $40 million in cap space. They're a good team.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm excited to see Carson Wentz. But Chicago, even with the 2.5, I think they're in a much worse situation than, say, the Chiefs with $23 million.
Yeah, and I mean, that brings up a great point with the Chiefs. So they're at $23 million over in cap. Made the Super Bowl this year, great run. Obviously, unfortunately, lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was rooting for the Bucs. I really liked what they had going on. To be honest here, TB12, I can't go against them.
I can't root
especially in Tampa Bay. Gotta root for them on the new team. But I mean, that brings up, what do you see the Chiefs doing in this offseason, free agency, draft wise? I like where they sit. Obviously, there's things that they do need to improve on, but I want to get your take on that.
Well, first of all, I don't think they're doing anything free agency wise, like signing new players. I don't see them doing that. They got a good core group of guys that they really like and that they've taken to 2 straight championships. I don't see them changing too much, but they got to restructure contracts, and they got 58 rostered players. So, I mean, you're going to add another, 8 to 10 more players in the draft. So you got some wiggle room to get down to that 52-man roster. But the fact that Frank Clark is costing more money in the cap than Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable. 25.8 compared to – that's $1 million more than Patrick Mahomes' 24.8. The man is making $500 million over 10 years. And Frank Clark is still causing more of a cap space issue. You've got to clear that up. Chris Jones is another one. I think you can those are really kind of the big guys, though. I mean, you really only have about 7 or 8 guys who even take up more than who take up more than $5 million in cap. Those are the big guys. You got to find a way to cut those contracts and make some plays in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. What I'm looking at right now, draft-wise, because free agency, I do agree with you. Free agency, don't see much happening, if anything. I do think they need to restructure their contracts a lot more, try to manage that. But I am seeing with their first-round pick, which is 31st overall, I see them drafting in a mock draft Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle from Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
I do think, especially after that Super Bowl, they do need to get that O-line improved. And I think
for sure,
especially going for an Alabama offensive tackle, I mean, it says a lot. Alabama's been a contender for the past who knows how long. Their offensive linemen have always improved in the league and have always gotten better and have always proved themselves more so. And I think going after one of them in the draft, which is with your first round pick, I think it's a great target, especially after the Super Bowl. It really exposed themselves.
Oh, the first thing you do with your Kansas City Chiefs in this draft is you take an alignment, and then you take another alignment, and then you find a linebacker. I mean, that is what they need to do, and they need to figure it out fast. I mean, Tom Brady did not beat them in that Super Bowl. The Bucs line beat them in that Super Bowl, and the fact that their defense couldn't stop pass interfering. I know I said during the game I was very upset. I was also, but I thought that the Chiefs were getting gypped out of that game just because of how many flags there were, but no, the Chiefs lost that game fair and square, and the entire Bucs defense deserves Super Bowl MVP, and I'll stand by that.
I mean, Me personally, I thought the Bucs secondary was going to get exposed that game,
They
and
didn't,
clearly I was wrong
they didn't have a
because
chance to.
no. But speaking of the Chiefs' defense, mock draft is showing that they're going to draft a safety with their third-round pick, 95 overall. Tyrann Mathieu plus Richie Grant.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the Senior Bowl. I don't know much about him. He's from UCF. I guess maybe there's uncertainty surrounding Daniel Sorensen is what they're saying.
Yeah, he's I don't see them re-signing a whole ton of players, but just because of how limited cap space they are, I saw the Lions are front runners for Sorensen right now. But I mean, they don't have any cap. They have less cap space, but they don't have a whole lot of cap space either. So I mean, the Chiefs really need to beef up that O line. I mean, you just spent $500 million on your franchise quarterback. You need to protect him. You need
Right.
to find a way to protect him. That is priority
I mean,
numero uno, out of doubt.
going off of that, you do got to protect him. That is, you just spent that much money on him. You want to protect him. You don't want that contract to be cut short because of, fucking up a draft. Honestly, with no O line, you got to make sure that you get him there. And then going off of that quarterback's position, we saw our rookie of the year. One of my preseason very favorite targets for this award.
You called it.
Justin Herbert, amazing rookie of the year campaign. How do you see this follow-up season going? Because I mean, he's only the 10th quarterback to win this award, and he's the first offensive Charger since 1974 to get this award. And I think that that's a big milestone for the Chargers, finally finding that young quarterback. Obviously had Phillip Rivers, went to the Colts. They were kind of in a scramble a little bit, and now they picked up Justin Herbert, and it really shows that it pays off. So I mean, how do you see his sophomore campaign going?
Well, first of all, Justin Herbert deserved that offensive rookie of the year. The only other person who was close to him was Justin Jefferson, and I still think it should have won to Justin Herbert, and it did. I mean, the guy played lights out, and their record tells nothing of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Absolutely.
They lost so many games by like less than 3 points. It's unbelievable. They're just that one little thing away from really busting open. They had a lot of running back issues, but Justin Herbert, I think we're going to see a little bit of an uptick in. We're going to see an uptick in interceptions for sure, just because Anthony Lynn's going to trust him a little bit more of the playbook. But
right.
Overall, I think we're going to see a little bit more increase. They're probably going to do better. I see them kind of landing at like a 9 and maybe like 7-9 and 9-7 range. Nothing like crazy take over the playoffs or anything like that, just because they don't have the defense to support it. But I think Justin Herbert's going to come out. He's going to have a good year. I think people are going to expect a lot from him early, and he's not going to live up to that. But he's going to overall have a pretty decent year. Probably finish within the top 10 for passing yards and definitely the top 10 for passing touchdowns. So I'm really excited to see what the Chargers do next year. Really excited.
Yeah, I mean, especially so I noted down some stats for him actually. And what I have right now is absolutely mind-blowing. What I found out was he's the all-time rookie leader, and these are all rookie leading.
All right.
Touchdowns with 31, passing touchdowns with 31, total touchdowns with 36, completions with 396, games with 300 plus passing yards with 8, and games with 3 plus passing TDs with 6. And I think that's absolutely mind-blowing for a rookie to come in, put up numbers like that. He's got a lot of hype going in to his sophomore campaign. Like you said, I think they're going to put a lot more trust in him. They're going to trust him to air it out a little bit more, and that can either very much help him go up or it'll hurt him because he's going to kind of get maybe a little bit too cocky, try to air it out a little bit too much and not, let his mind get to him, let his ego get to him a little bit.
Yeah, the Chargers offense are kind of in a semi-similar situation as Green Bay, except the difference is Green Bay's got an all-time legend behind center, and LA's got an up-and-comer. They need to find another piece for Keenan Allen, and he's getting up there. They need to find a stable running back situation, and they need a better offensive line. I mean, what Justin Herbert was able to do, those numbers you just said, with the offensive line that he had. I mean, the Chargers are not a good team. They didn't win games for a reason. And I mean, the guy lights out. And every win that they got, I really attribute it to him. And what he was able
right, and I do think, they need to go after some offensive linemen for this draft. We see that happening with a few organizations. I do think the Chargers are in great need of it because I really do think they found their quarterback. I think it's going to turn into, not necessarily stats wise saying Patrick Mahomes, but I think it's going to turn into something with the organization where they found their guy. He's going to play out his rookie contract. They're going to offer him, a lot of money for his next contract, and they're going to try to get him to be a Charger for life.
Yeah,
personally,
he's really just the next version of Philip Rivers for the Chargers. I mean, if they can, and if he's able to sustain this, that's what I think he's going to be. Not necessarily as ugly as a throwing motion as Philip Rivers had, but I mean, for sure, they're going to try and keep him around. And I love seeing him play for the Chargers. I personally was very skeptical of Justin Herbert. I mean, he did go to Oregon. You can't really trust that school, but in terms of quarterbacks and what they're able to produce, but I hopped on the train pretty instantly after that week 2 performance. I was like, "Yep, I'm sold on Justin Herbert. The guy's got it." So I'm really excited to see what he does next year, and I'm really excited to see what the Chargers do because they got 23 million cap space, and they're pretty close to getting over the hump there. So we'll see. It's
right, and I mean, we've been on the subject of offensive linemen recently a little bit. Especially Chiefs, kind of relating them. We're comparing Patrick Mahomes a little bit to Justin Herbert. I am looking at Chargers pre-draft, and they has them first round, 13th overall, taking an offensive tackle, second round taking another Alabama O lineman, and then they are looking to draft a running back in this. But I mean, who knows how accurate that's going to be because that's round 5. I really do think the 1 through 3 rounds are the most accurate. And seeing these 2 offensive linemen get drafted to them, I really think that's going to be big for them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the offensive linemen, I think if they can seeing that the Packers aren't going to re-sign him, I think if they can get Corey Linsley, I think that'll be a nice bump for the Chargers offense, especially someone with leadership like Corey Linsley. The guy is a leader on and off the field, and he can really help their organization.
Yeah, and I mean, going off of offensive linemen, got to protect the quarterback. Speaking of one of the most dangerous linemen in the league, J.J. Watt, how do you protect him? Who knows? But where do you see him landing? This surprise, not so surprising, but a little bit surprising. Houston released him. Nobody knew what was going on there. Later found out that he requested it and they granted it. So, I mean, I'm seeing some rumors about the Browns. I don't know how I see him fitting there. I do see him, honestly, going back. I take that back. I see him being a great fit there personally. But where do you think he lands, and how do you think he'll fit in that defense?
There are 2 things that you're going to need to sign J.J. Watt. First is you're going to need to have the money. And second,
right,
you're going to be a contender. And looking at who's got the money and who's a contender, there are honestly 2 teams right now that have any type of shot at signing J.J. Watt. And it's the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Indianapolis Colts are a bit of a shocking one just because – they're like, oh, they didn't go to the playoffs last year, but they're a good team, and J.J. Watt knows the whole league knows it. And it would be pretty interesting to see him go to a division rival and play the Texans twice a year. I could see that happening, but I think he's a nice guy, and he probably won't end up doing that. There's a lot of speculation around, because he just had that tweet today where he's like, the mitochondria is the powerhouse to sell, and everyone's making their assumptions. But I think it's going to come down to money. That's what it's really going to come down to. He's going to go with the Cleveland Browns, personally. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's what I got here. I know you and I have talked about it a little bit. Kind of looking at overall all the free agents, I was looking at J.J. Watt a lot. It does, in this sort of prediction, this website that I got pulled up here, they are saying Cleveland Browns for 2 years and $20 million guaranteed. I really do think he's going to be a very good asset for them should he sign there.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I really think that'll take the Browns to the next level because personally, I think the Browns are right there this year. I really think they're close. Do I think they're a Super Bowl team? No. Should they made the Super Bowl? Should they have made the Super Bowl? I see them getting their asses handed to them.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I really do think they're right there, especially, the story with the Browns being so bad in the past and seeing them come up kind of quick after the whole Johnny Manziel turnaround, picking up Baker Mayfield. I think, landing J.J. Watt would be massive for them, especially if they have a good draft, kind of get some late round picks. I really see them, skyrocketing to that, potential.
The way I look at the Browns right now, as they stand right now, I'm talking no J.J. Watt, no nothing. They are the 2017 Chicago Bears, in my opinion. That's what I see from them. They get J.J. Watt,
Yeah,
they can be dangerous. They get their Khalil Mack, and they can be somebody. I mean, imagine having J.J. Watt and Myles Garrett on both ends of the defensive line. That's unstoppable. That's
it's
literally, I mean,
terrifying. As an offensive lineman, that's terrifying.
you can't stop that. There's just not a better duo in pass rushing and stopping the run. But right now, if I'm honestly Cleveland Browns, I'm getting rid of OBJ. I've never been a fan of OBJ. He had one crazy catch, but I'm not sold on OBJ. I think you can get a lot for him, and you can clear out even more space to offer JJ Watt even more money.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about that too much. Was with OBJ, he really, he's got good routes, he's got good hands, but I mean, the league cracked down on him fast,
Oh yeah,
and they've been shutting, seems to be shutting him down, you know, ever since that breakout year with the Giants. And I mean, I do think with all the hype around him, that would help the Browns get a lot out of him because teams see that hype and they believe in the hype, and they're gonna offer up a lot for OBJ.
oh for sure. You can get a lot for OBJ. I feel like, and it's not going to cost you a thing. Oh, I personally think he's washed out, and you already have a pretty decent receiving core. You got Austin Hooper at
Right.
tight. You got Jarvis Landry. You got who's there? I think T Higgins is their slot. He's a solid receiver. Running back, you got Nick Chubb. Baker Mayfield. I'm interested to see about Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I don't know if he's franchise or if he's even Super Bowl caliber quarterback, but right now he seems like a fit. So you have a good
Yeah,
team.
that brings me up to the last topic I do have noted down for this. I think it was Colin Coward talking about him. Do you think Baker Mayfield is replaceable? Me personally, I think anybody's replaceable. I do think Baker Mayfield's replaceable, but I feel like he solidified himself as that quarterback for the Browns, as the guy they need. He's mobile. He can be a pocket passer too. I think personally for the Browns, he's not replaceable. There's no need to replace him. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, right now at the current situation, there is no need to replace Baker Mayfield. The guy is set. He's solid. He loves Cleveland, which is a shock because no one loves Cleveland. But
Right.
right now, he seems like the fit, and there's really kind of no one that you'd want to go after that you could trust more than someone who's known the playbook, who knows the team, who knows the organization. I mean, he's kind of the best fit. Even if you're looking draft wise, you guys had a pretty decent playoff run. You're not going to get anyone like the Trey Lances or the Justin Fields. I mean, at best, you're replacing Baker Mayfield with a lookalike in Mac Jones. So I think you got to hold on to him if you're Cleveland.
Right. Especially with Cleveland's luck with quarterbacks, I really think this is a guy. This is a guy they need to have for, sign him to a big contract, keep him for a while, and just see what he can do. And should things, should shit hit the fan, then that's when you start talking about this. But I really do think he's the guy. And then
How many
kind of
years?
going off of that, what I just said. What were you gonna say?
How many years does Baker Mayfield have on his contract?
Let me look that up.
Yeah, because if he's got a year left and they don't perform well this year, slap a franchise tag on him. Are you kidding me? That's perfect. Or even if he's expiring this year, I wouldn't even hate a franchise tag on him. Like that, the Browns don't need to do anything crazy with him. Unless you're sold, and then you got to restructure it in a way that keeps you cap. But I wouldn't spend.
Yeah,
What was he at?
I was looking at it right now. He's signed for 4 years with a 5th-year option, I believe,
Okay.
for $32 million.
Oh yeah, he's locked up. They don't even have to worry about him for a while.
That was after he was drafted, though.
Oh, so that was in 20.
So he's coming up.
That was in 2018. So he's got.
He will in 2023. He will be a free agent.
Yeah, so he'll take his 5th-year option for sure. I think he will.
Yeah.
I don't see him not taking the 5th-year option, and then if you're not sold, franchise tag him. That's the beauty of franchise tag. You only got to pay the maximum, the premium account for 1 year. So I think it works out nice for them, especially with what they got and especially with how they're looking at the future. I mean, the Cleveland Browns have like 2 to 3 years, as does every team really, when they're good to get that window in to win a championship. I mean, to ride that momentum and to keep the same core group of guys, like unless you're looking at a full organization like the New England Patriots, who are able to sustain for that long with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and even over the past 20 years with the Green Bay, sure they've only got the two championships, but they've had prolonged success. So you got 2 to 3 years, and I think the Browns got to do something quick. They got to sign J.J. Watt.
Right, and I do believe that. And I was looking at this. They do have the number 26 pick in the 2021 draft. I see them maybe hopefully picking up a receiver. Personally, I think they should, especially coming off that OBJ talk. I think they should get rid of him. But I mean, seeing teams like the Browns come up that fast, I think that's great. That kind of brings us to the end of the discussion. I really think, I'm looking forward to next year, especially with all this movement around the league. All these young stars coming up, Justin Herbert, especially with J.J. Watt moving around. Looking forward to seeing what he does, especially with Wentz trying to prove himself, and the Bears looking to try to find their quarterback, find their guy, and the Chiefs and the Bucks trying to follow up a big campaign. So.
Yeah. I guess there's one thing that we didn't talk about was Deshaun Watson. The big Deshaun Watson, the most talk about out of Houston. I don't honestly see them trading him. Honestly, no. I don't see them doing anything with him. They're going to hold on to a year and let him.
I see him staying. I see them somehow getting Will Fuller back. Somehow, some way, I do see that happening. And then I think they're going to try to build around it.
I think a lot of teams are going to make a lot of plays, but Houston's just going to say, fuck you guys. No, I'm not getting rid of Deshaun Watson, honestly. And I don't even see them hold on to Will Fuller. I think they're going full rebuild mode, and then they're going to hold on to Deshaun Watson purely out of spite because they're a terrible organization. That's what they're going to do. And it's going to be sad to see. They're going to waste some of the best years of Deshaun Watson's career. And when he finally is able to move on, I'm excited to see where he goes. I'm excited to see where the QB landscape is when he finally is able to get free. Maybe New Orleans. You'd see him go to the Saints. That'd be really interesting. So
I honestly kind of forgot about that with Drew Brees leaving.
Yeah,
they got Jameis Winston, who clearly has not proved himself. I think picking up Deshaun Watson would be huge for them.
Yeah, definitely not.
Try to make them into a contender.
Yeah, this year they're in salary cap hell. 73 mil over. They got a lot of stuff to do before even thinking about Deshaun Watson. But if everything that we say comes true and the Texans hold on to him, I think the Saints are going to be front runners to sign that dude because I would really like to see him in a Saints uniform, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap that up real quick there. Matt, I appreciate you coming on this, discussing football with me. I really look forward to having you on in future videos. Maybe get some other people to join in on this. I know you and I both know a lot of people who, like to get rowdy about this stuff. So I really, really appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to it again.
Yeah, I really appreciate we're able to sit down for this discussion. So I'm going to let you go, and I look forward to many more discussions. So.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. You have a good night.
You too, sir.
Yeah.